Georgia youth football coach, sheriff's office employee fired after viral video hitting child player. Mm-hmm. So basically, the sheriff office employee, basically a sheriff, I'm guessing. I don't know, but I guess he works in the office at the very least. He coaches a Pee-wee football team, and there's a video. Basically, he just goes up and slaps the shit out of a kid. And, you know, that was caught on video, went viral. He got fired for that shit.
Right.
I think he still has his job at the office.
Right.
But when I first saw that, I was just like, did he just get his jobs mixed up? Like, he thought he was at the sheriff's office where you could just smack people around and he just wires are crossed or something like that? Or
oh, shit, I'm at the wrong job. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Please believe me.
Shit.
You saw a flashback?
Yeah.
Put the gun down. Oh, no.
It's just the football, man. It's just the football.
He didn't have a gun.
But that shit was it's just wild. Like, what kind of adult fucking person that's a coach thinks it's okay to just smack the shit? Like, it wasn't like a little tap, like, oh, I'm gonna just tap on the helmet kind of thing, maybe a little rougher. But no, this was like, he winded all the way back and just went boom.
Yeah. You showed me the video and everything like that, and I was like, damn, especially because it's Pee-wee, so those kids are like 7, 8, 9 maybe.
Yeah.
Excessive, like way too much. So yeah, he deserved to get fired for that. However, I will say, for anyone who grew up playing any type of sport, if it was anything athletic and you grew up in any area with coaches that weren't, you know, fucking the best of the best of people, that was pretty regular. Like, I was never touched or anything like that, but I've had coaches yell at us. I've had coaches, like, cuss the fuck out of us when we were, like, 11. You know, I'm like, I've had coaches, I've seen it to other kids. Like, I've had coaches grab other kids or, like, grab kids by their jersey and, like, tell them to stop and make them run and shit like that. And
that seems fine.
That's what I was going to say. Like, the level of that, what he did was excessive. However, I want people to understand when it comes to, like, sports, especially football, because that's football. Yeah. Like, other sports, basketball, baseball, a little different because it's not like a contact sport. Football, I think the mentality for a lot of these coaches is that they have to make these kids tough because you're playing a very tough and violent game and everything. So they do stuff like that to just make them basically animals out there when they're starting to, you know, play. So I know that there's a reason that they do it. However, on that video, that was super excessive because that kid's whole head like went down.
It's like, okay, look, you're talking about a 7-year-old kid. You don't need that much power to tell them like to do something like that. You could. It's like a slightly harder tap,
right? You
know, just to be like, come on, like get focused. Like, you know, it's like those like classic like someone's freaking out and then you slap them kind of shit. But this is a very kids game. Like, hey, just focus a little bit more.
Right.
Dude, it's way too much, and the whole making people tough thing. I get that, but yeah, this is too much. Too much for a 7-year-old.
Because there's playing a lot of sports growing up. There's a whole bunch of different ways that they could fuck with you too. Because like you just see the actual physical abuse and everything like that. But I had coaches and shit that were assholes that made us run forever. I had freaking coaches that, you know, if you made a bad play or whatever, you had to run the park after the game and everything like that. Instead of teaching you that, you know, hey, what you did was fucking stupid and everything. Right. No, running the park because you made a fuck up was the right way to teach.
That'll teach you how to correct the fuck up that you did.
That I don't know that I did. Like, there's like that's one of my things I want to do when I have kids. I want to coach youth baseball, and it's that reason. It's because I felt like I had good coaches growing up, but I didn't have like the coaches that you see on these videos and shit where it's like, oh, they freaking taught. Like, so many athletes have like those coaches that were with them from 10 years old to 18, and they did all this and that and everything, and they helped them and groomed them and shit. I didn't have that. Like, and I always wanted to do that for kids in wherever area I'm going to end up having kids at. Because I felt like that's the biggest thing. So many kids could be great at sports if they just had the right fucking person training them. Like, but so many kids get discouraged because, oh, I've had coaches that were psychologically abusive. Like, luckily, like, I was good at my sport, so where I didn't have to go through that. But I saw kids that, yeah, they stunk, all right? Yeah. But it's Little League, all right? You're not going to be amazing.
One time I was playing, like, Pee-wee soccer, I guess. I don't know what it's called, Pee-wee soccer. But I was about 10 years old.
Right.
And the coach was just yelling the fuck out of me, right, for whatever reason during the game. And I was so close because I had the ball like right at my feet. I was so close to just picking that shit up and just throwing it into his face. Like, I could picture it,
right? But
for whatever reason, I didn't. I just fucked with them the other ways. But that shit's annoying, man. Yeah. It's just like these grown ass people yelling at kids that aren't theirs at all. It's insane. And
like I had players, going through baseball for as long as I did, like where they were terrible, right? And we know they were terrible, but you still, the reason you play a sport as a kid is you think you're good or you try to get better, but two, also it builds camaraderie and confidence and stuff like that. The coaches did not help those kids. No, they shit on them along with some players on the team and everything like that. And I always thought that was fucked up because I'm like, damn, you don't he stinks now, but I guarantee it's probably his first year playing this or whatever, which was a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Their parent.
For most of my thing, like when I go into like the sports shit, I didn't know the sport at all.
Yeah, like their parents just want them to be outside, but be in a safe environment and learn something. They put them in a sport and they think, just like school, you're going to be taught, you're going to have fun. It's like, no, these coaches take this shit serious, and because there's championships and some notoriety on the line if they find the right players, and like I saw that shit so many times. And I think I told the story before, but I had parents mad at me because their kid was terrible, but me being one of the only black kids on the team, and when I was getting so much praise and they thought their kid should get the same amount of praise or whatever, I've had a lady try to run out on the field and actually hit me like during the game because they took her son out because her son stunk. And
even as a kid, they just were chasing him.
She had to get escorted off the field, and I remember we ended up losing the game, but my coach came to my house the next day and basically checked on me and apologized to my mom and everything. My mom, of course, I didn't really tell her what happened. I was just it was just dumb to me. But my mom afterwards was like, "Oh, fuck her!" I'm like, "Who?" My mom, same thing. My mom didn't have the means to, come to the game, so it was always me and my grandpa. And that game, my grandpa had to go to church, so my coach, who was dope, he would pick us up. So he picked me up, took me to the game. And so I don't have any family there,
right?
And then she just decides to do this shit, and
wow,
these are adults, bro. And I'm like, yo, chill out. It's not that serious, but it's just all type of shit, and it's bad.
Sounds like a very toxic culture.
Yes and no. But it's only toxic. Side. It's only toxic because of the adults.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The adults make it toxic. And I was telling my wife literally this past weekend, I was saying that I was like, oh, I can't wait till we have kids, because when they start sports and shit, I'm like, I'll be able to be there and I can help them as much as I can. And I was like, the one thing I always appreciated about certain coaches I had or whatever is, the ones that were cool, they always led me in the right direction. But I was like, as a kid, you never know how much these adults are fucking with kids. Yeah. And I talked about, there's a park in our area, it's called Share Park, and this is one of the biggest parks in North Long Beach. And they were starting a baseball, a youth baseball team or organization or whatever, and that's where I learned to play baseball. So, my grandpa always take me to that park. We would do batting practice and pitch and shit. And when they started posting the flyers, my grandpa was like, "Oh yeah, we'll take you here. You'll actually play on the team." So of course, I've been training for baseball since I was 3, and now I'm 8, right? So get on the field, and I could tell already these kids haven't been. They're just it's a fun thing. Their parents got them in and everything like that. And we start doing drills. I'm mowing these kids down, right? And it looks like someone who just doesn't belong here is playing with these little kids.
Right.
So we're playing, and I the next week I came out there and we were doing like the mock games because we were gonna play a game on, I think it was like in one more week. It was like 3 weeks, but we had practice for 2 weeks. This was like the last week, and it got to the point where the parents that would come started to just sit there and just like watch me just basically just destroy their kids. And I was like, and my grandpa would tell me, like, he would be like, yo, you're good. I don't think you need to be here. And he would just kind of tell me, but I'm thinking he just kind of like pet me up and everything like that. And it got to the point where I remember this shit like it was yesterday because I was just like, what the fuck? So I come to the plate and it's the kickball thing. Anytime there was a person who kicked super far, everyone would fucking back up and everything like that. So I come to the plate and the whole team just backs the fuck up, right? And then you hear like the parents watching. They're like, "Oh, this is our home run hitter. This is our MVP." I don't know these people, right? This is the third practice, right? And I'm like, "What the fuck?" So after the practice, the coach calls me and my grandpa over, and I think I'm in trouble, right? Because I'm just like, it's not fair what's going on, right? So coach calls my grandpa, and he's like, "I'm gonna be honest with you. We don't have funding. We didn't get enough money to start the league. We thought we would. So on Saturday when we play, we don't even have uniforms. I feel like he's too good to play with us. He doesn't need to be here." My grandpa was like, "Okay, so what do you want me to do?" He wants to play though. And then he was like, "Well, I'll give you guys a choice. However, there's another park. It's called Ramona Park. They have a whole baseball league. You should take him there. He shouldn't be here because," he's like, "it's too much." And he's like, this is supposed to be like a fun thing, and now it's not turning fun because your grandson is just doing all this shit, and it's not like." And then my grandpa was like, "Oh, okay." So then, if that coach never took the time to be like, "You don't need to be here," I'd probably never play baseball because I would have just kept playing there because that was,
closest park to us in the
right, yeah. And that was where my grandpa could take me and everything, and that's what it was. But when he told us that, we found the other park that was very close to my house, but we just never knew about it. And that led me down the path of baseball and everything. And I thought about that this past weekend because I was like, damn, if he never stepped up, like he could have just sat me there and be like, I'm gonna have one good player, try to win as many games as I can, and fuck it, who cares, right? But he was like, no, he's good. He can have a future. Go over there, right? And that's the thing with these coaches that I would hope that they would, want to actually be in it for.
If only every coach was like the first coach.
Yeah, and that dude was Asian. So it had nothing to do with race. And nothing to do like, some black man was like, hey, you can. Nope, he was Asian. It was like, get the fuck out of here.
He saw all your stats around you. Just a beautiful mind.
So much power. Please don't be here. But that's like I had good experiences when it came to the majority of my coaches, but that's sports.
That makes sense because I had bad experiences and I stopped.
And you stopped playing sports.
Exactly. I was like, fuck this guy, fuck this person that's yelling at me for no reason. Yeah. Just like you keep. I remember the game so specifically because it was like they kept changing the rules. Because when you're playing those league park games, they have different lines for different age ranges of shit. Right. And they kept changing up the rules. They're like, no, this line is for you guys right now. And then like next play, they was like, no, this line is for the younger kids and blah, blah. I'm just like tell me. And then after that shit, the coach was just yelling at me for making the mistake. I'm just like, the fuck do you want? Like, you're telling me different shit. So after that, I was done with the whole sports shit. Never kick the ball again.
But see, that's real shit. And that's the shit that it sucks. I remember Jay had tried out. He was gonna play football in high school, and I told him, I was like, "Fucking do it, man!" And I'm dead serious. I don't know if he ever told you this, but I
thought he was badminton,
But that was like later on. But like he wanted to play football in high school, and he tried. I feel like he tried out for the team. I have to get the whole story from him, but I think he went to like one tryout and everything like that. And I didn't think he liked the experience of it. And the only thing I wish I could have went with him. Yeah. Because I felt like if I would have been with him and we both would have done it, he would have probably stuck to it. Because Jay's big as shit, or was big as shit at the time. So I'm like, you would have been a perfect fucking lineman or D end or whatever. But it's different when you tell someone who hasn't been like yelled at. like, okay, this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
And you gotta take it. And like
it's part of the whatever.
It's part of the shit. You know, like it's just. Yeah.
If you would have won, it would have been that voice of reassurance, like no, this is
gonna happen, man. Right. Just let that shit happen. It whatever, happened, fuck it. Like, but it's
but I don't think these. Well, maybe they do, but maybe not these ones. Like these bad coaches, I don't think they realize how much influence they have over this shit. They could, it could
fuck a kid up. Forever.
Yeah, it could be the next Mookie Betts or some famous sportsman that
some other person.
It could be the next Mookie Betts. But as a kid, he got this coach just instead of trying to teach him the right way and for him. Just yelled at him and made him run laps to the point where he hated this sport. So it's just
that's literally that's always the difference between like being great at a sport and then being a professional at a sport. It's always every player I've ever researched, like watched, they always talk about how they had great coaching. And that coaching steered them in the direction, because as a kid, like it happened to me. As soon as I got out of that coaching system, went to high school ball, played high school ball my first year, my coach was terrible, I hated the team, I quit. There you go. Like, and because as a kid, you especially when you get older, you start to develop your own thoughts and mindset. You're like, I don't need to fucking take this shit like to be here. Like, but if you have a good system around you, and especially a good coach, he could see it and be like, no, you need to do this and that, and you need to keep going because you have this talent. And like, so many kids would probably still be playing sports or like be interested in sports, but there's so many like you said that had experiences like you and me later on where it's just like, I don't want to fucking do this.
I had my first year playing soccer or football for our overseas listeners. The first year I had a great time. Like the coach was awesome as fuck. Like at one point, like I was a chubby kid, like chubbier than I am now, and I was slow and all that shit. Like I wasn't athletic at all. Anyways, I was playing forward, and the coach's son, he was a pretty good soccer player. Like he wasn't like a jerk at all, which made it like even better. At one point, there was this play where he was running with the ball down the fucking to the goal, and I was running right beside him, like just in case, like like pass the ball, kind of shit, move defenders, all that shit.
Right.
And he never passed me the ball, and he scored the goal and whatever. But I was just like, ooh, I can't believe I kept up with him and shit like that. Afterwards, everyone was, congratulating the guy that got the goal. Right. But the coach came up to me and was just like, man, that was great. Like you kept up with him, and that's exactly what you should do, and blah blah blah. And it's just like that kind of shit.
It motivates.
It sticks. It sticks. Like it's been fucking over 20 years, and I remember it. And it's just it's shit like that, man. It's the teachers that when one of their students does good, it's the kid's accomplishment.
Right.
But it's those bad teachers that when they're fucking up, they blame the kid and not themselves. Yeah. For like, oh, I have failed to teach you the proper way, or to teach you a way so that you could understand. Right. Kind of shit. I don't know if have you seen that Ted Lasso show on Apple streaming thing? It's a pretty good show. So I don't know if Ted Lasso is based on a real person or not. I think he is. But in one of the first episodes, he's a football coach, like an American football coach. He goes overseas and he starts coaching soccer. Okay. And this team is like not so good. Okay. Right. So his whole coaching style was, I don't really care about winning or losing games. What I most care about is making sure that the players that are on my team are improving their skills every day. Right. So I'm going to teach them certain ways to, like to do something like this, and maybe you'll get better. And it's just like his whole thing was just, I want to get my players at the best version of themselves for this sport, in this game. So I was just like, oh shit, like that's a crazy style, because that just builds like loyalty, and you want to get better is the thing when you have shit like that.
I would. This is the last thing I'm gonna say on this topic. When it comes to like, fuck this dude for what he did, and any coach that thinks that's a normal thing, fuck you too. However, if you're interested in coaching like kids, if you have an athletic background and you feel like I could be a teacher to these kids or teacher to the youth, the one thing I would say is you have to love whatever the hell you're coaching. You have to love it. And I don't mean just love it from the aspect of yourself where you're like, oh, I can talk about this all day and everything. I'm like, no, you have to love it enough to actually want to go to the batting cages on your day off. Actually want to wake up and like go play catch with some kid, and or actually want to
random kid,
or actually want to go, watch a pitcher. I'm speaking in baseball because I'm a baseball guy, but if you watch a pitcher, that's on your team and help them develop and everything, like you have to love it. Don't just get into it because you like the sport and you feel like, oh, if I was coaching, I know. Don't do that shit. Like, those are the worst coaches. All they do is yell, they blame the kids, and they never think about how they suck. Right? At coaching, it's like you have to love it. Do not think or don't try to get into coaching if you do not love the sport. You don't love actually teaching people the sport.
Yeah. I would say also an abundance of patience. Yeah. Because you're dealing with kids.
Well, that's a given if you're going to coach.
Right. You would think it's a given.
Right.
But it's not. There's patience and... I forgot another one. Oh, patience, and also don't put your like, for a coach, don't put your own self-worth into the team winning. Like, oh, because my team won, I feel better. It's like, no. It's just like the kids are playing. If the kids are actually doing their best and doing the stuff that we practiced in practice, then it's a great day.
Right.
My team is improving. If we lost, it sucks, but my team's improving and we're just going to do better. Right. So don't put your own self-worth. Don't do like, oh, because my team's losing, I got to freak out and I got to go slap one of these kids because, people are going to talk about me and it's my fault and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you got to learn to take all that shit so that the kids don't have to.
Yeah. But what will happen from doing all that is that the kids will want to win for you. And then that's when it's the funnest because everyone's on the same page that, all right, we come in here to win. Because I've been on teams that were undefeated, and I swear to you, they weren't different from the teams that I was on that sucked. The only difference was we all believed that we're going to win this game.
Yeah.
And that's usually the only difference, just belief. And that always starts from coaching. You have to believe that you're going to, we're going to do what we set out to do. So
yeah. And we focus on coaches, but it's really any kind of teacher. Person kind of thing. But I like this podcast. This is very positive. It started very positive and ended very positive.
Yeah.
I like it.